So earlier this year, I went from 30% body fat to 12% body fat. In this video, I'm gonna break down everything that I did to get that lean in just 4 months. I'm gonna break down everything that I did to lean down very quickly in 5 major points. This is gonna include the lifestyle changes that I made, the changes that I made in my diet, and the changes that I made in my training routine. And I'm gonna break everything down in the simplest ways possible. So if you're looking to get lean and you need a program to get you there, that's gonna be as simple as possible. Stay tuned and pay attention to everything that I say in this video. Before we get into it, my name is Kosi, aka King Kosi, aka the Big G. Welcome to my channel where I break down fat loss and muscle building in the simplest ways possible to help you reach your fitness goals. Let's get right into it. So the first thing you need to do to lean down is you need to find lower calorie options of the foods that you regularly eat. When it comes to fitness, the best thing you could do to get results is to find something that is sustainable, that is gonna give you results. A lot of people don't reach their fitness goals because they get too confused or overwhelmed by complicated diet plans. I suffered the same thing when I was trying to lose weight as well. I was listening to different influencers giving me different kinds of diets that I'm supposed to do to get rid of the weight. But it wasn't until I found something that is simple and sustainable that I finally got to see results. You don't have to make drastic changes to your diet in order to start losing weight. All you need to do is find lower calorie options of the foods that you already like to eat. And if you truly do your research, you will find that there are lower calorie options of the foods that you consume on a daily basis. That's not gonna taste very different from what you're used to. In my case, I like to eat white rice, so I replace that with brown rice, and eventually I replace that with cauliflower rice. I also like to have a drink or a soda whilst I'm eating my food. So I replaced my Coke with Diet Coke or Coke Zero. I like to eat chicken, so I replaced the chicken thighs for chicken breasts. Another thing I like to eat is bread, white bread. So what I did was I replaced the white bread for brown bread. I also replaced my whole eggs for egg whites. This is the best way to make changes in your diet without feeling like you're actually on a diet, because you can actually eat the same way that you normally eat, but you just replace the foods that you normally eat with lower calorie options. That way you could eat the same portions, you could eat the same amount of times a day that you normally eat. You can enjoy the food that you're actually eating because it's gonna taste like the food that you normally eat on a daily basis, and you start to lose weight because you're eating less calories and you won't even feel like you're actually on a diet. Just by making these small changes in your diet, swapping the foods that you normally eat for lower calorie options, you'd be surprised how much calories you'd be dropping off and how much weight you will start to lose. If you do your research, you would find that there are lower calorie options of most of the foods that you eat on a daily basis. Sure, it's gonna taste slightly different. It's not gonna taste like what you're used to, but it's still gonna have a similar taste to what you're used to. And the most important thing is you can eat the same portion sizes that you normally eat and still be in a caloric deficit. The reason a lot of people rebound when they get on a diet and can't stick to a diet is because they start to eat so little amount of food and it feels like they're starving all the time. So most people just throw away the whole diet and just go straight back to what they're used to eating. But if you continue to eat the same way that you eat, continue to eat the same portion sizes that you normally eat, but you just swap the foods for lower calorie options, you'll be on a caloric deficit and you won't feel like you're on a diet. So there's always ways you can switch things around if you're trying to lose weight and still not feel like you're so restricted with your diet. This was how I continued to lose fat without feeling like I'm actually on a diet. Another thing I recommend that you do is that you increase your protein portions. So in all the foods that you eat, I would highly recommend that you increase the portions of the protein that you consume. So if you're eating rice and chicken, I would recommend that you have more chicken than you have rice. I say this because protein is very satiating. So protein is gonna make you feel like you're full. Eating a lot of protein is also gonna speed up your metabolism because your body uses up more energy to digest protein. So if you add high protein consumption on top of swapping your foods for lower calorie options, this is how you drop down to 12% body fat. This is actually what got me to drop down to 12% body fat. Because initially I was about 30% body fat and I started to lose weight when I swapped my food for lower calorie option, and I got down to about around 20 to 18% body fat. But it wasn't until I increased my protein intake that I started to get down to the low body fat percentage, the 13, 14, 12% body fat percentage. Because let's be honest, if you want to get that lean, you can't actually just eat like regular people, because regular people are not that lean. Not everybody gets to 12% body fat. So If you want to lose a little bit of weight and get to about 16, 17, 18% body fat, then just swapping your foods for lower calorie options will actually get you to that point, depending on how big you are. But if you want to get down to being extra ripped, then you need to have a high protein diet, because like I said, it's going to speed up your metabolism. It's going to make you feel full, so you won't eat as much calories as a normal person would. And that's when you start to see the magic happen. Protein also helps to preserve your muscles. So you want to eat as much protein as you can so that you can actually keep the muscle whilst you're losing fat, because you don't want to lose fat and start to look like you're skinny. If you want to lose fat and look like a Greek god, you want to look ripped, then you want to eat as much protein as you can, because protein preserves your muscle, and that's what gives you that lean muscular physique. The second thing that you need to do is you need to take at least 10,000 steps each day. Walking is the easiest way to burn fat because it's the most natural movement anyone can do, and it's very sustainable because you never get tired. You never get extremely exhausted from just walking. A lot of people would lose a lot of fat if they just got on their feet and moved around with their feet a lot more. It's the easiest form of cardio anyone can do. So I highly recommend that you start walking more if you want to reduce your body fat percentage. Before I decided to get lean, I used to try my best to avoid walking. I used to sit down every opportunity I get. I'd like to drive to every location that I want to go to. I'd want to sit down in the office. I want to sit down in the house. I want to sit down everywhere. And as human beings, that's what we're hardwired to do. That's what most people want to do. We try to get comfortable in every opportunity that we can. So what I started doing is I would just get on my feet every time I've got the opportunity to do so. When I'm in the house, even if I'm not going out, I just get on my feet. When I'm working out in the gym, in between my sets, I'll get on my feet instead of sitting down on the bench and being on my phone. Even when I'm working, I'd avoid sitting down if I can. I'll stand up and do my work. And this way, I was able to increase my daily step count. Another thing I like doing, and what I'd advise most people to do, is I avoid taking a car or driving to most of the places that I'm going to, especially if it's somewhere that's a walking distance. If you have to drive to somewhere, you can drive and park in the distance that's not too close to your destination, so you can have some time to walk to your destination. These are ways you can increase your step count, and that's going to make you to burn more fat. If you got free time and you're at home, you can go out for a walk. If you've got time in the morning when you wake up and you don't have to go straight to work, you can go outside and take a walk. You can get some vitamin D, that's good for you as well, and get some steps in. Just taking the opportunity to move around on your feet is going to help you burn a lot of fat. 10,000 steps is all you need to do. 10,000 steps is the magic number, because when you take 10,000 steps each day, that means by the end of the day, you have been at least moderately active throughout the day. You can go above 10,000 steps if you need to. If you got the energy for it, go more than 10,000 steps. Sometimes I go more than 10,000 steps, but make sure that you take at least 10,000 steps. 10,000 steps should be the minimum of steps that you take each day. Weekends included. Every day, make sure you take at least 10,000 steps. On the days where you're gonna be at home, if you live in a place where there's not really much room to walk around, then I'd advise that you invest on a walking pad. Get a walking pad and you can just walk on your walking pad in your house and get your steps in. I have a gym here in my apartment building, so on the days where I'm at home, and these are the days where you won't usually take as much steps because you're indoors, I just go into the gym, I just go on the treadmill and I just walk, and I do my work on the treadmill. I'd get my laptop there, I'd get my phone there, I'd edit, I would reply to emails, whatever it is. Just make sure you find ways to get yourself to walk more. If you stick to getting 10,000 steps each day, that's gonna help you to burn a lot of fat over time. Apart from walking, another kind of cardio that I would recommend that you do if you want to burn fat quickly is at least 20 minutes of zone 2 cardio at least 5 days a week. Just like walking, zone 2 cardio is also a very sustainable form of cardio. This is because it's very easy to do. Zone 2 cardio is the type of cardio that you do at a steady state. It's literally the opposite of high intensity cardio. So high intensity cardio are things like skipping, sprinting, burpees, boxing, and all that sort of stuff. But zone 2 cardio is a more slow and steady type of cardio, like walking on the treadmill, on an incline, walking on the Stairmaster, riding a cycle. It's a type of cardio that you do without having breaks in between for a longer period of time. So the kind of zone 2 cardio that I like to do is I like to walk on the treadmill on an incline. I put the incline on 15 and I put the speed around 3.5 to 4, and I just walk on it for at least 20 minutes. Sometimes I go up to an hour, sometimes I go to 30 minutes, sometimes I do 40 minutes. It just depends on how I feel and what I'm doing that day. But I make sure that I get at least 20 minutes of zone 2 cardio at least 5 days a week. You can do zone 2 cardio on a Stairmaster, you can do it on a cycle, whatever you prefer. Just make sure that you're in zone 2. The best way to ensure that you're in zone 2 is by checking your heart rate. And you can check this with your Apple Watch. You want to check your BPM whilst you're doing zone 2 cardio. You want to make sure that your BPM is around 130 to 140. For most people, that's how you know that you're doing zone 2 cardio. So when I do my zone 2 cardio, I look at my watch, I monitor my heart rate. And if my heart rate is getting up to 150, 160, then I slow down my pace, I slow down the speed. Or if it's not up to 130, then I increase the speed. I just go by what my heart rate is saying. That's how you know that you're doing zone 2 cardio. This kind of cardio is the best kind of cardio to burn fat, because when you do zone 2 cardio, your body uses fat for energy. So you're burning fat directly for energy. When you do other forms of cardio, you're burning glucose for energy. Zone 2 cardio is also great for fat loss because it's sustainable. It doesn't cause much wear and tear on your body. So you can do it 5 days a week without feeling like you're exhausted. If you do HIIT cardio 5 days a week, you're gonna feel it. It's not very sustainable. Some people could do it, but most people can't do it, especially when you get older. So when you're in your early 20s or late teens, you can probably get away with doing HIIT cardio every day. But when you're approaching your 30s, your late 20s, your 40s, then it's not very sustainable. You can't do that every day. I used to be able to do HIIT cardio every day back in my early 20s. I used to be able to jump around and skip and run and do all sorts of things when I was a lot younger. But the older you get, the less tolerant your body is for that kind of exercise. So you start to get joint pains, you start to get muscle aches a lot easier. It's harder for you to recover. So I would advise that you do zone 2 cardio instead of doing HIIT cardio. One thing I notice with people is when they want to lose weight, they tend to start to run a lot. And for most people, that's not really sustainable. Running would actually help you to burn fat, but it's gonna cause a lot of wear and tear on your body. It's gonna cause joint pains for most people. It's gonna cause muscle aches for most people. Me personally, when I run or when I skip too much, I start to get pains on my shin. That just started happening recently, all of a sudden. And I've heard stories of a lot of older people. When I say older people, I mean people in their 30s and above or late 20s. They start to get certain aches on their body that they didn't used to have before. So when I see people running, especially people that are overweight, I kind of know that they're not going to do that for very long because it's going to exhaust them over time. So instead of doing that, I like to advise people to just do steady state cardio instead. Another thing HIIT cardio does is it kind of makes you hungrier. So because you're expending a lot of energy, you want to eat more. It increases your appetite. So you might be burning a lot of fat whilst doing that kind of cardio, but it's going to increase your appetite and it's going to make you consume all of the calories that you burnt out, if not more. So steady state cardio is the best kind of cardio to lose fat long term. If you like to do HIIT cardio, you can do that 2 days a week or 3 days a week or 1 day a week, but don't make that your main form of cardio. The fourth thing you need to do is you need to lift heavy. A lot of people don't know this, but one of the quickest ways to burn fat and keep fat away is to build more muscle. The more muscle you have, the less fat you're gonna have. Building more muscle increases your metabolism. So if you take two versions of yourself, one with more muscle and one with less muscle, the version of yourself that has more muscle will be able to eat even more calories than the one that has less muscle and gain less fat because he's got more muscle. The one that has less muscle is more likely to gain fat from consuming food than the other version because the one that has more muscle has a higher metabolism than the one that has less muscle. I know every one of us has met somebody who's just ripped, who just looks jacked or muscular, no matter what they eat. And that's because they have a high percentage of muscle mass in their body. So doing tons of cardio is not the only approach you can take to lose fat and keep fat away. You need to build more muscle as well. And the best way to build muscle is to lift heavy weight. So when you go to the gym, don't focus on doing high reps with light weight. That's the mistake a lot of people make. And that's why most people don't build a good amount of muscle. That's why most people don't build long-lasting muscle. If you want to build solid, long-lasting muscle, you need to build that through power. You need to build that through strength. And the best way to do that is to do heavy compound exercises. Compound exercises are exercises like deadlifts, bench press, shoulder presses, pull-ups, dips. These are the kind of exercises that you need to focus on doing. And you need to go as heavy as you can on these exercises. You shouldn't be able to do more than 6 reps easily on your compound exercises. If you're doing more than 6 reps easily, that means that the weight that you're pushing is probably too light for you. Don't be scared to lift heavy. That's how you build muscle. When you're doing squats, lift as heavy as you can. When you're doing deadlifts, lift as heavy as you can. When you're doing shoulder presses, lift as heavy as you can. You're doing dips, you're doing pull-ups, lift as heavy as you can. If you're doing pull-ups and it gets too easy for you, you can put some weight, you can do weighted pull-ups, you can do weighted dips as well. Just make sure that you go heavy on all your compound exercises. That's how you build solid, long-lasting muscle. Now, I would say this, don't ego lift. Don't lift weights that's too heavy for you. Yes, go as heavy as you can, but use your head. Don't lift weights that you know that you can't handle, especially if you don't have a spotter with you. But make sure that you're pushing yourself in the gym. Make sure that you're not just going to the gym and just playing around. Make sure that you actually lift heavy weights. That's how you build muscle. And you want to progressively overload as well. As you get stronger, you want to increase the weight or increase the reps. So don't just stick to just doing the same weights and doing the same reps every session. As you get stronger month by month or week by week, increase the weight and push yourself in the gym. Your workout shouldn't feel easy. It should feel like you're actually training. That's what you're there for. You're not there to play around. So don't neglect weight training if you want to lose weight. Building muscle goes hand in hand with fat loss. And lastly, you want to sleep at least 7 hours each night. Getting enough sleep is one of the most important things you can do if you want to lose fat quickly. I used to neglect my sleep a lot. During the start of my weight loss journey, I was doing everything right. I was hitting the gym. I was lifting heavy in the gym. I was doing my cardio. I was eating right, but I wasn't quite seeing the changes that I wanted to see. But when I started to prioritize sleep and I made sure that I got at least 7 hours of sleep every night, then it seemed like the fat just started to drop away. If you do everything right, but you don't get enough sleep, you're not going to get the best results when it comes to weight loss. Your body burns the most fat whilst you're asleep. Your body also builds the most muscle whilst you're asleep. So if you want to lose fat and build muscle, you need to prioritize sleep. Having bad sleep also puts you at a disadvantage when it comes to doing the things that you need to do to lose the weight. When you have bad sleep, the next day you're most likely going to be hungrier because your cortisol increases. Your cortisol is your stress hormone. And when that increases, you're going to want to eat more. Your appetite is going to increase. So you're going to overconsume food. You're most likely going to consume the wrong kinds of food because when you're stressed out, you want to eat cakes, you want to eat sweets, you want to eat chocolates, you want to eat fast food. You want to eat all sorts of unhealthy food because that's what's going to make you feel better. I know that happens to me. When I don't get enough sleep and when I'm stressed out, I don't want to eat healthy food. I want to eat the foods that are high in calories, high in sugar, processed foods. Those are the kinds of foods that I crave when I'm stressed out. And that's counterproductive when it comes to weight loss. Also, when you stay up late at night, you're most likely going to snack on unhealthy foods. Most people don't eat healthy foods when they stay up late at night. So it will be in your best interest to go to bed early. Go to bed at the same time every night. That way you will wake up at the same time every day. It doesn't matter if it's weekends, it doesn't matter if it's weekdays. Make sure that you go to bed at the same time every day. That way your body stays on the schedule and you won't have to force yourself to get enough sleep. You won't have to force yourself to get 7 hours of sleep. Your body just wants to sleep when it gets to the time that you're supposed to sleep. If you find it hard falling asleep at night, then you need to take measures to make sure that you sleep when it's time to sleep. You can take supplements that would help you fall asleep. Personally, I take ashwagandha and I take magnesium before I go to bed, and that helps me fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night. I'd also advise that you don't drink coffee after midday, because coffee actually keeps you awake and coffee stays in your system for a long time. So don't drink coffee after 2 p.m. If you drink coffee after 2 p.m., it could actually affect your sleep at night. You might be thinking you're not drinking coffee at night, so you should be fine at night, but that's not actually how it works. Coffee stays in your system for a long time. So ideally, I'd say don't drink coffee after 2 p.m. If you can, avoid drinking coffee throughout the afternoon. So after 12 p.m., don't drink coffee. But if you need to drink coffee in the afternoon, then make sure you don't exceed 2 p.m. Another thing I recommend that you do to fall asleep at night is you need to stay as active as you can throughout the day. If you're taking enough steps throughout the day, if you're doing things throughout the day, if you're not just sitting on your ass throughout the day, if you're staying active, you're going to the gym, you're doing your cardio, you're moving around, then by the time it comes to nighttime, you're going to be tired. That's one thing I like to do for myself, because I notice if I'm not very active throughout the day, at night I just have so much energy and I don't fall asleep. and that just makes me start doing things at night. And I'm moving around at night when I'm supposed to actually be sleeping. So I'd advise that if you're like that, if you're like me, then take as much steps as you can throughout the day. And that's going to even help you burn more fat. So it works hand in hand. It's like killing two birds with one stone. So move around throughout the day as much as you can. Be active throughout the day. Don't be sedentary throughout the day. And then when it's nighttime, you're going to be exhausted and you're most likely going to fall asleep and stay asleep at night because you're drained of energy from the day. Another thing that you could do is you could make the room cold when you want to sleep. When your room is cold, you're most likely gonna fall asleep and stay asleep. So make the room dark and make the room cold, and that's gonna help you fall asleep. Turn off the TV, turn off the light, turn off your phone. Exposing your eyes to your phone just before you sleep is not gonna help you fall asleep because the light that comes out of your phone actually makes your brain to stay awake. So put off your phone, put off the TV, put off your laptops. If you need to entertain yourself just before you sleep, you can do something boring. What I do is I read books before I sleep. I don't like to read books, so I actually do that intentionally because I know I find it very boring and it will actually make me fall asleep. So if I have to entertain myself, if I find myself in a situation where I'm not falling asleep, I just read a book and that knocks me out real quick. So plan for your sleep and prioritize having 7 hours of sleep each night, because that's very beneficial for weight loss. These are 5 things that I did to go from 30% body fat to 12% body fat very, very quickly. Apply these changes in your life and you will lose a good amount of fat very quickly. Don't forget to like the video, share the video to anyone that needs this information. Subscribe to get updates on the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to ask me for advice in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.